wow, it is windy. I'm here at, not my local movie theater, but a movie theater that's like 2 cities away from me, and I am going to go see Planet of the Apes. So, today it is Monday. It is like gonna be 1:30. It's 1:30, and I'm gonna go see this movie because I got a $4 ticket from T-Mobile Tuesday. So, whew, there you go. Ace is a lot better. Yeah, I'm walking there right now to go and redeem my ticket, but I am so excited for this movie, guys. It is, I believe, the last one in this trilogy, and then the last one that came out was like 3 years ago, so it's been 3 whole years since we got a Planet of the Apes movie. Oh, look! Gelato! But anyway, I just love all these movies with Andy Serkis, and like, it's so great. I've seen some of the trailers for this movie. It looks really cool. I'm hoping that we get to see the setup for like this whole world of Planet of the Apes, and then I'm also hoping to see the introduction of that cute little girl that's with Maurice. But yeah, I don't know, I have high expectations for this movie because I love the other two, and now I just have to go inside. So, talk to you when I'm done. So I'm leaving the movie theater right now, and I'm really sad. It was a really good movie, like, I'm not even kidding, it was so good, but it really was the ending to this trilogy, and yeah, I don't know. I know I wasn't the only one that was really sad, because like, as soon as the movie ended, no one was talking, no one was cheering, and then I just heard like a bunch of sniffling and crying, so I was like, oh good, I'm not the only one. Hi, check it out, Jumanji and Ragnarok. Anyway, off topic. Yeah, that made me really like emotionally distressed, but I'm gonna go head home now, and I will catch you at my house.
Hey everyone, so I am back from the movie theater, and the movie was so good, and I was really sad when I left the theater, so I wasn't really thinking anything other than like, no! And then how like touched I was with all the baby chimpanzees, but still, I really liked this movie. I thought it was a really good ending to the trilogy, but I'll save all my thoughts for after, because right now I'm just gonna go ahead and try and summarize the entire movie for you. And, you know, because of that, it's going to be spoilers from here on out. And, you know, just a warning now, if you're not cool with that, I have some more videos on my channel you can go and check out, and then come back to this video after you watch the movie. But if you are okay with that, let's get started. So where the movie begins, we see a military faction climbing up the forest to go and try to infiltrate Caesar and the other apes' home and kill Caesar. They call themselves the Alpha Omega, and it seems like they have some of Koba's old apes that followed his lead working for them now as their donkeys. So they launch an attack on the other apes, and pretty much they fail, and 4 of the guys were captured along with Red, the gorilla. Caesar debates what to do with them, but ultimately decides to show them mercy and send them back as a message to their colonel that they pretty much just want peace and they don't really want to be bothered. So after they leave, the next day, Blue Eyes returns with rockets from a scouting mission and tells Caesar that there is a desert not far along the other side of the forest, that if they get to it, they think it will be an optimal home to live, especially after they find out that apparently the colonel is this very ruthless leader that's kind of like a little bit batshit and blames the apes for everything that has been occurring, and they pretty much just do not want to interact with this guy. So, the night before they are going to leave, they are infiltrated again by Alpha Omega, and this time Caesar's wife and son Blue Eyes are killed by the Colonel, thinking that Blue Eyes is Caesar. And now Caesar is absolutely furious and pretty much tells them that he is going to go on his own to kill the Colonel, and for all the other apes to go and start making their way to the desert, and he will meet up with them then. But of course, you know, Rocket, Luca, and Maurice are his friends, and they're not going to let him do this. So they decide to go along with him, and they begin their journey to go and take the fight to the Alpha Omega camp. Caesar and his group eventually make it to the Alpha Omega camp and discover that it was actually Winter, the one who betrayed them. Trying to ask Winter for some answers, Winter pretty much just tells them that the Colonel had left early this morning to go to this place that he just knows as the border, because apparently more armies are going to come and join him to eradicate the rest of the apes. And then, in an attempt to keep him quiet, they accidentally asphyxiate him, and now Winter's dead. But the three of them have some type of direction as to where to go. On a supply run where they decide to infiltrate this smaller village, they discover this guy who's just kind of living by himself there, an Alpha Omega guy, and they kill him when he goes to reach for his shotgun. And then later they discover that he actually has a daughter who is affected by the simian flu, and now she is mute. So, not being able to talk and just trying to communicate, Maurice gets along with this girl, and he really likes her, so he convinces Caesar and the others to bring her along with them. After they leave that place, they find a bunch of Alpha Omega soldiers that have been shot and left for dead, that are pretty much the same as the girl, and they cannot talk, and they, you know, are completely brain dead for the fact that they can't say anything or make any words. But they still don't know what's up, and Nova's a little concerned, which is the little girl's name that they give her later. But yeah, so they don't know what's up with the Colonel killing all of these men, but they continue on, and eventually they come across this monkey. Well, he's not a monkey, he's an ape, that was going to kill Nova and steal from Caesar and the others, but later they discover that he's actually just a chimpanzee that has been hanging out in this souvenir shop type of thing pretty much ever since this entire thing started. And no one bothers him, and he doesn't really bother anyone. He just kind of scavenges for what he needs, and that's how he's been surviving for so long. So his name is Bad Ape, and pretty much at some point he had taken some supplies from the border and knows where to find it. So Caesar and his group convince Bad Ape to take them to go see where the Colonel and his men are hiding, and they are ready to go take the fight to them. So they arrive at the facility, and Luca gets shot right away. And after he gets shot, and he looks around at Maurice and Nova, Bad Ape, and Rocket, he decides that he just wants to continue this on his own. So he goes out into the facility by himself and realizes that the rest of his group that he had told to go to the desert has actually been captured. That they pretty much got ambushed out of nowhere and are now being used as slaves to build this wall that the Colonel is very determined to believe will help him in military strategy when the other armies, who are actually not joining him but rather fighting him, come. So, with Caesar's arrival, the rest of the apes are very excited. They get riled up, and now they have some new hope because Caesar is amongst them. But of course, the Colonel knows this, and he takes advantage of this and pretty much uses Caesar as a martyr and as a reminder. He is now an example of who is in power. And that's really sad. But in any case, he starves Caesar. Nova sneaks into the facility to give Caesar food and water, and in order to rescue Nova, Rocket gets caught. Trying to figure out how to save all the apes and get them out from their cages, Maurice and Bad Ape discover that there is a tunnel system running under the entire facility that they are going to use to get all the apes out and get all the baby apes out as well. So they do that, and now everyone has managed to get out of the facility, and they're going to the new home, and they're going towards the desert, but Caesar decides that he cannot forgive the Colonel for what he has done, and he goes and he decides that he's going to kill the Colonel. And when he arrives, the Colonel is exactly the same as Nova, and he has blood coming out of his nose, and he can't talk, and he got the simian flu as well, the mutated version that will now, I guess, revert you to a more primitive state where you can't speak, and who knows how further you digress. So Caesar debates killing him, but then he decides that that'll be too merciful, and the Colonel takes his own life. R.I.P. Woody Harrelson. But we do get to see Caesar not be satisfied with him trying to extract his revenge, but when he tries to go to rejoin his group, he notices that the other army has already come and is about to fight the Alpha Omega army. And of course, the apes are caught in the crosshairs. So Caesar is now trying to blow up the facility while all the other apes get to safety. The other army is coming and shooting a bunch of the apes, and there's death everywhere. There's chimps falling, and there's babies crying, and it was so sad. But pretty much Caesar manages to blow up the Alpha Omega facility and have all the apes go safely into the woods. The new army is now about to kill the apes when they, are finished, done with their cheering and their happy whooping of victory that causes an avalanche, and they get completely covered with snow. So with both armies defeated, Caesar and his group are now able to go and be in their desert and live happily ever after. Except for Caesar, who's revealed to actually be suffering incredibly fatal wounds and not telling anyone. And Caesar dies very, very quietly. And then the rest of the apes will remember him forever as they continue to raise generations of apes in this newfound home. And that is how the movie ends. So I know that my summary might have been super boring, or that it just didn't sound like an interesting movie, but that's just because I'm really bad at summarizing. This movie was so good. First, acting is great. They did the whole motion capture. Everything looks really cool. You have a lot of touching scenes that don't even have any, words. It's just like monkey noises. And it still really affected me. I was crying like a big old baby in the movie theater. So I really liked all the interactions that we had with everyone, with Cornelius, Caesar's youngest son. That just absolutely broke my heart when they're separated and he doesn't want to leave his father, and then he gets separated again at the facility and he's the only one crying hysterically. So we do get a lot of humanization for the apes, even more so in this movie than any of the previous. Caesar talks a lot. In the last one, he kind of talks like Maurice does right now, where he occasionally says words, but for the most part, it's just sign and grunting noises. But in this one, he makes complete, full, coherent sentences that are pronounced perfectly, and he has no issue with any of it. So that gives us more understanding to his feelings, and we can relate to him more. But he's really wrecked. So we do see that Caesar is heavily affected by what happened with Koba, because he has essentially PTSD. He pretty much sees Koba whenever he closes his eyes or goes to sleep, or whenever there's a moment where he's kind of afraid or when he is uncertain about something. Koba, fucking Koba everywhere. His nasty ass scar. So the entire movie gives us a journey through Caesar's mentality and how he feels that he is becoming like Koba. And he doesn't really get this idea put into him very strongly until after his family dies, and he is now hell-bent on killing the colonel and making the humans pay. And then enter Nova. So he does get this new mentality, and he is very angry, and he hates all the humans that, you know, killed his family. But then they find Nova. And Nova, who, by the way, the actress is super gorgeous. She's so adorable, and she's the cutest thing ever. And, like, whenever she showed up, I would just smile. So, Nova, when she's first introduced, she's kind of like just weak and helpless, and she doesn't talk much. So, you know, she makes noises occasionally, but she has this bonding with Maurice that is immediate, because the two of them have a hard time communicating with everyone else. But for her and Caesar, to Caesar, she is just a human. He doesn't want to like her, but she is very likable. And throughout the entire movie, in order to give us more of a feel for Caesar's human side, she's used as kind of a reminder to Caesar that humans can be good. The humans are not all like this. She brings Caesar back from wherever he decides to go. However far he falls, Nova is there. And there's multiple scenes where they do this thing where Caesar is in a really bad position, and if Nova is the one that goes to help him, there'll be the scene where it's focused on her, and then the background's all white and she looks like an angel. So there was that there. I did notice that. And I feel like without her, Caesar would have seemed like he was less justified in his craving for revenge, because now with Nova added to the movie, it's him not hating all humans, it's him hating, you know, the soldiers, it's him hating the colonel specifically, because now there's a distinction between the two. If there wasn't a human in the group, it would probably just be taken that Caesar just doesn't like all humans now, and he's convinced that all humans are evil. So storytelling wise, there was a lot of characters taking on the roles to represent something. You know, we get it pretty obvious that Caesar is the leader. He represents just like hope and stuff. And then Nova is kind of like sympathy, empathy. She's more of the soft side to the story. And then we get Bad Ape when he's introduced, as he's introduced really weird. He is wearing full clothing, so you don't know he's an ape until later, and living on his own. You know, he's not influenced by being with the apes or being part of, you know, the Alpha Omega. He's just kind of doing his own thing, and he'll use human things because they help him, and then he'll do ape things because he's an ape, and he's just kind of like this mixture in between. But of course, you know, he does take the ape side because the humans are kind of fucking crazy. And he adds a lot of comedic value to the movie, and I really appreciated that. So, moving on to Bad Ape, you know, Nova, was there for the cuteness and for being the emotional relief that we needed. Bad Ape was there for the comedic relief that we needed because he's incredibly cowardly. We see all of these apes that are willing to protect their home and to die for their family, and they just want a better life and they just want to escape. But Bad Ape is pretty much just like, I'm good. Like, I've been living on my own for a long time. You guys do you. I don't want any part of it. So, throughout the entire movie, everyone's just trying to get him to do things, and he's very cowardly, saying like, no, I don't want to. I'm good. It's okay. We don't have to go in that facility. But he ends up doing it anyway. So, I am glad we did get the comedic relief, and Bad Ape was absolutely hilarious. And, you know, now with everything that has happened and Bad Ape being essentially like taken in by Caesar and the rest of the apes, he's found a home and he looks really happy, so he doesn't have to be on his own anymore. And I'm glad we did get that, because, you know, the apes together strong, so now he feels stronger, and that's why at the end, Bad Ape is able to lead all of the apes through a battlefield. And that was pretty cool that we got to see that kind of character development, because he's still afraid, but now he has something to be brave for. He has all of these apes that he considers his new friends to be brave for. And these apes will take, you know, anyone and like, what? Human girl? Mute human girl? Come on, you're an ape now! Like, oh, random ass, you know, chimpanzee living in the middle of nowhere? Come on! It's okay, let's go to the oasis together. So I really did like that kind of bonding type of thing. One thing I didn't really like, and you know, it might just be me because I'm kind of nitpicky about this kind of thing, but the Colonel's motivation made no sense, right? I mean, I know he's a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but his reasoning for killing all the apes is that they caused this. But they didn't cause it. They didn't want this. And killing them won't change anything. In fact, I think killing them might make it worse. You know, the whole bacteria in the air getting in your lungs, and then you get the simian virus. So I was like, okay, I guess, Colonel. But the Colonel was a very strange character for me because I'm not used to seeing Woody Harrelson in such a serious role. I was just expecting him to be like, and I have a brother! But we didn't get that because this is serious, and I feel Woody Harrelson did a very good job. I'm just kind of sad that we didn't get to see more of him, and we didn't get to see more progression of, you know, him feeling different when Caesar arrives, which he probably wouldn't have anyway, because he's kind of, you know, again, fucking crazy, but maybe we could have gotten more of that. He was a really well-played character, so that was cool. And we also do see the whole idea of humans being their own downfall. So that's the entire theme of the series, you know, this being they tried defying nature, experimenting on apes, and then all this happened and now all of them are gonna die. At the end, when one army defeats the Alpha Omega army, instead of just taking it all in and being satisfied, they start cheering, and then that's what causes the avalanche, and then they all die. So, we did hear at some point the Colonel had mentioned that the army that went to go attack them was also implied to be possibly one of the ones that, one of the only ones left in the world. So, with the avalanche killing all of them, it's also implied that there are no more humans in the world, you know, aside from Nova. And now with the apes having found their new home and, you know, Caesar being gone, Cornelius to take up the throne, or to take up the leader position when he's old enough, it really feels like they ended it on such a strong note because it feels like they set it up for when the very first movie takes place. So it feels like a prequel to the first movie. It feels like they really laid out a platform, explained how everything happened, and that ended very well. So overall, I was really satisfied with this movie. I really hate it when movies are very weak in their ending, especially after such a long-ass trilogy. Transformers. But we really got resolution, and for me, I got satisfaction with this movie. So I think that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments below, and if you feel any differently, if I missed anything, or if you just want to talk to me and go watch this movie, hit me up in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Hey everyone, just playing with my new Guardian amiibo! I finally got one! And I wanted to say thank you for watching this video. And if you like what you saw, you can subscribe to my channel by clicking that circle button up there. Or you can check out some more of my videos over here. And you can find my socials or check out my Patreon by clicking that square button down there. Hey look! The Guardian captured Link! I'm sure there's porn of that somewhere.